searching high and low for its matching part. Over and over, ending where we start.
Welcome aboard, whether you found us by accident or on purpose or were perhaps kidnapped and brought here. Welcome to Fishing Without Bait, a lifetime without definitive expectations, where we help people to explode into their lives with full impact mindfulness. There is no admission fee, only the honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness to try. And if you have those, if you're looking to create yourself rather than find yourself, welcome aboard. If you're welcome nowhere else, you're certainly welcome here. Good day, my friends. I'm Jim Ellermeyer. I'm a behavioral health therapist, and behind the magic control panel, of course, is our good friend, co-producer, and at times co-host of this program, Mr. Mike. As promised, we often offer an eclectic round table of guests. And this evening, we've asked Tim Vitullo to join us, who's a singer-songwriter from Pittsburgh and an excellent, fantastic guitarist. So, Mr. Tim, if you were captured by the space aliens and taken to another planet, how would you introduce yourself?
I'm a noisemaker. That's what I would say. I make a lot of noise.
You at one time described yourself to me as an extroverted introvert.
I'm not sure where I picked up that term, but it's not mine. I'd love to take credit for it, but it's the concept of being very comfortable in a social situation, and I'm very comfortable meeting new people and being with strangers, or for instance, whenever I'm doing the singer songwriter bit, getting on stage and performing. At my heart too, I do love time to myself, and time to think, and time to be quiet, and time to ponder, and kind of step away from all the craziness.
Well, it sounds like you've made some choices in your life. And Tim, what we like to expose people to, our listeners, is that, gee, well, Tim, you have a CD, you have a band, you have a record label, you have this. Well, most people don't understand that most people are 20-year overnight successes.
Yeah,
So
I'm still one in progress.
so tell us a little bit about how you began to be interested in making noise.
If you want to wind it way back, your viewers don't have the benefit of the visual here, but I was never an incredibly athletic kid growing up. I'm pretty tall and lanky, and just it wasn't going to work for me, and that's okay. I have no hard feelings about that. So when I was young, all my friends were kind of getting into sports, into athletics, and again, it just, after a while, you kind of don't enjoy not being good at something, or if everyone else is so much better than you. If you're playing a board game, or you're playing any kind of competitive thing with someone, and they're just that much better than you. And likewise, if you're so much better than someone else, there's no competition, and it loses the fun, it loses the excitement. So I kind of early on learned that you know it was either going to take just an absolutely tremendous amount of work for athletics to be my thing, or maybe it was something else. And on a whim, people started taking piano lessons or learning instruments, because their parents forced them. And there was a friend I had. I remember he started taking piano lessons, and I said, "Hey, that kind of sounds like a fun thing to do," and it clicked. So that was kind of the very beginning, where it kind of ramped up from just, hey, I go to piano lessons every week, and whenever my parents' friends come over, I play a song on the piano, and everyone thinks that's cool. Was whenever you got to high school, and that first kid you knew bought a guitar, and it's one of the coolest things about the instrument. It's just it just oozes sex appeal and cool, and it's just it's such a it's just that instrument, and everybody thought it was, and similarly to the piano, it was like, hey, that seems kind of cool. And it just started this journey that I've been on, since I was 14 years old. And it all just it all makes sense. It just seems, I learn new things, and they just seem like, yeah, well, of course it's that way. Why wouldn't it be? It kind of became this outlet, instead of sports or other ventures, to express myself.
So when you're saying that it made sense for you, Tim, there's many people who go through their life with real uncertainty and indecision about where they should go. And on this show, we've introduced the Japanese concept of ikigai, iki meaning guy, life meaning purpose. So it sounds to me like you've found your life purpose. And often, what we try to help people understand is when they get their head, their heart, and their gut to align, then they've found their path.
Yeah, it's such an interesting concept of purpose, and it's interesting to think about it in that way, um, especially since I've worn a lot of different hats as a musician. You know, kind of the hat I'm wearing right now is, singer songwriter, band leader, um, and we kind of joke. I'm really a small business owner who sometimes gets to play guitar, which is really different from, when I was in high school or even in college or fresh out of college. And a lot of times I was, you know, guitarist for hire, guitar player in that band, um, session musician. A lot of people called me to, hey, I need somebody who plays, really cool guitar licks to play on these tracks on my record, and you'd show up and be creative in that way. And they're all such different jobs, but I think you are right. They've all just it seems like what I needed to be doing, and the path has been, not of least resistance to say that, it's laziness or carelessness, but it just seems every move has seemed purposeful after the fact.
I have a hunch that not everybody was encouraging and supportive of your musical persuasion.
It's interesting. When I was young, of course, and especially when I started playing the guitar, there are all the stereotypes that come with rock and roll music. It's sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And as a young person and a formidable mind, my parents were very quick to say, like, "Well, yes, but you're getting a job." you know, yes, this is great when your schoolwork is done. and
Okay.
truthfully, I appreciate that so much. It was what I needed to hear at the time, and it kept me grounded in it, and it's created, the workman like attitude I take to music. It's disciplined. It's not kind of hey, let's get together and drink a bunch of beers and just hang out, and maybe we'll play some songs or whatever. It is very disciplined.
Well, it may have sounded right. It may have sounded like a good thing that your parents were saying. However, hindsight is great. I would probably suspect at the time that you balked at that a bit.
Yeah, certainly. Well, and that's the other ingredient in rock and roll is rebellion, certainly.
Hmm.
And it continues now. I'm a totally independent artist. There's no record label, there's no manager, there's no agent behind us that makes all the machinations of Tim Vitullo band work. It's usually me sitting at my computer and making phone calls or sending emails, and we go through, and this is part of, again, how my parents, I say, broke me, but I mean, just because I'm so atypical about how we handle this. It's a term of endearment. We laugh about it, but I take a lot of, I love statistics, and I love baseball, and baseball has become such a game of statistics now. But I take all these different, data points throughout the year of our band. What kind of venues did we play? What did they pay? How many people were there? Did we sell merchandise? Did we get asked back again? What zip code are they in? How many miles away from Pittsburgh were we? Different things like that. And then at the end of the year, we have a meeting, and we go through all that. And truthfully, I mean, we play a lot, and that's something we hear from a lot of our peers. Like, holy crap, you guys are everywhere, and touring and doing what we do. But truthfully, our success rate at doing that is probably about 5%. About 5% of the people I reach out to say yes, and say, yeah, we want to support you, and you can come and play your music for our patrons, or or at our festival, or at our event. So, even today, and I get to talk to someone like you, and feel successful in that way. There's still a ton of failure and a ton of people who tell you no.
What do you say to people who get discouraged? And I'm certain that at some point you got extremely discouraged.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are ones that, and some of the band will tell you there are certain venues that I kind of, it's wrong to do, but I kind of get a little bit of a grudge with, and then I just keep persisting and just needling them with emails or phone calls like, "Hey, I know you said no, but we just put out a new album. What about now? Hey, I know you said no, but check out this new video from our last show. We just played this big festival. What do you think about that?" And to me, it's the taste of victory is so sweet that it fuels me through all that, all the no's and all the rejections, because whenever we do, get to be on a stage and there's thousands of people out there, and it's happened, it makes your year. That you get to do your favorite thing in the world, and there's thousands of people there who actively want to watch you do that. I mean, if that doesn't get you going, your heart's not beating.
So, how did you feel when you found out that, my gosh, these people actually like what I'm doing?
I'm surprised every single time, and that's not to say I'm not proud of the work I do. Um, I'm I'm insanely proud because every record that I've made under my name, and every record I've been a part of, under someone else's name as a guitarist, or as a contributor in some way, I know that I've always done the best job that I can do, and made a point to be the best person I can be on that record or as part of that project. So there's a great deal of pride that still comes from that. But even still, every time someone says, "Hey, I really like that," I never expect it. I never expect anyone to say, "This is a great record," and if they say, "Hey, you made a great record," or "You played a great show," it's always like, "Oh, awesome, thank you. I'm so glad you like that," because and the other thing too, it's shows and performances and songs. They feel like your children in a way. Of course you love them, but you can't be objective about any of it. Yourself and your being is so tied to everything about that. There's no possible way to step back and say that was good, that was bad.
Well, in the 12-step world, Tim, we say that you can't read the label when you're inside the bottle. And that has to do with a lot more than addiction. Okay, it has to do with relationships, it has to do with depression and anxiety. And when you're inside of the band, who do you go to give you objective opinions and say, "Yeah, Tim, that was okay. However,"
hmm Yeah, I'm really lucky, and it's something I learned through experience, being in a lot of bands, growing up. Um, is the importance of assembling a good team and understanding a team's strengths and weaknesses. So I'm insanely lucky. The band I have right now is incredibly talented. They're all way more talented than I am, and they make me sound a heck of a lot better because of it. And just to it's David Fix plays bass and sings. Brent McConnell plays the drums. And our newest member, Bill Gus, plays the guitar and sings. But it's a careful process of understanding everyone's strengths and weaknesses, and being open to criticism and feedback, and being able to try things. Certainly I know that, Dave, for instance, is really good at identifying these sorts of things in songs. So I usually will ask him, "Hey, what do you think about that?" Or that, Brent is really good at maybe a big picture idea. And I'll say, "Hey, I just need like a 10,000 foot view on this. Yes or no? What do you think?" But to find that, and also find what engages them, so that you can kind of keep them motivated, to be honest, and to give you good feedback. The other thing too is a lot of people qualify it whenever I talk as well. And my parents, or my girlfriend, or friends will say, "Well, I don't know anything about music, but here's what I think." And that feedback is so valuable, because that's our consumer. It's guy or gal on the street who doesn't play an instrument, who just listens to the radio, and we want to connect with those people. We don't want to be a band that you have to play an instrument and understand complex jazz harmony to appreciate.
Well, Tim, they're the people that are listening to your music.
Yeah.
So of course we want them to be appreciative. Tim, we many people say, "Gee, they live their life on wishes and hopes and waiting for something to happen." And we often tell a story about buying the ticket. Uh, so we often suggest to people that it's okay to have your head in the clouds as long as you have your feet on the ground. So tell us a little bit about that with you moving forward through your life.
Yeah, certainly. And I think that was a big turning point for me. Whenever I finally made the decision that hey, I'm going to be Tim Vitullo, the songwriter and the band leader, and the that's the act I'm going to sell, not hey, I'm going to try to hook up with another band and be Tim Vitullo, our guitarist who plays all these crazy guitar licks, in between the choruses or whatever. Um, songwriting was something I dabbled with and always had an interest in doing, but never really knew how to do it, and no one ever, there was never a mentorship that I had where there was, someone who was a songwriter who said, "Hey, here's how I write songs. Give it a try." Or, it's hard. You can't. You can go to a guitar teacher or a piano teacher, but there aren't really songwriting teachers, or if there are, I just don't know about them. So there was this, wouldn't it be great? Like this feeling of emancipation from, having to kind of go with the flow in a band that maybe you don't agree with the direction or that doesn't have the same dreams as you do. You know, we get to tour now, and I've dreamed about touring my entire life. Just some of my favorite books are the beat stuff from the '50s, and just like the romanticism of let's just get on the road and go, and we'll see what happens.
Tell us about touring, Tim.
Sure. I mean, for us, it's a little bit different than a lot of bands, just because like we all still do have jobs, so it's not that sort of hey, pack up the truck and we'll be back in a couple months and have done a big loop. It's a little more disciplined, but it's this odd thing where you're in a new place and you're working and it's stressful because maybe you don't know your way around and you've never played at this venue before and none of these people may know you in that town. You've never played there, and all this and that. So it's you're a stranger in a strange land, and not only that, you're trying to convince people to invest in you and buy in you. It's not simply just kind of being a tourist and taking it all in. You're trying to plant your flag and and make a name for yourself there. It's an interesting thing. The thing that is cool is if you do find some success and you get to come back to cities, that's always our favorite thing. We know whenever we go to Baltimore, we love to do this and we love playing this venue and the wait staff sees us and they give us high fives and oh great, so great to see you guys again. And you make all these great friends. And it is, and we're really lucky. We have a lot of friends that aren't music friends or band friends that live in these cities, and we get to catch up with all those people. It's great. And then, oh, by the way, you get paid to be there and do the thing you love most. It's like for us, we always say, and we have to make sure that people understand it's not a vacation. It is a business trip in a sense, but you get to hang out with all these people you love and catch up with them if you haven't seen them in a while, and you make some scratch and you get to play your instrument and sing. Like they're the best trips you can make.
Well, there's a lot of people who romanticize the being on tour and they fantasize about being a rock star. However, my spandex days are over, so I don't think I'm going to get there. So, what would you have to say about people who most people just want to arrive? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's not. I mean, like we've been actively touring for about 3 years now. And the first year we toured, we made so many mistakes, and we laugh about them now. And with the gift of experience and hindsight, we're like, man, we were idiots. Why did we do that? That was a terrible idea. But you try it and you learn. What unfortunately happens a lot of times in the early goings is you don't make any money Oftentimes, if you're not smart, you lose a lot of money. Um, and there is kind of that element of self control about, you know, you're usually playing on that street in town that, you know, Wednesday through Sunday is the bars are rocking and, there are people going out. Maybe their weekend has just started because they don't work Monday through Friday and they're, you know, pounding drinks and want to party and get all riled up. And you're there to do that and to facilitate that. And that's a difficult thing. I'm sure a lot of people fall victim to that, and I know we have on occasion where it's the first day of a longer, maybe like a week long, 2 week long run, and we party really hard and then we pay for it the rest of the way. So there are a lot of lessons to be learned, but it's such a great bonding experience, and I can't tell you the first year we started touring, we had a different fourth member. Dave and Brent were in the band. I remember one of our first big trips, we drove to Boston to play a festival up there. And the fourth member, had said, "Hey, I don't really want to go. I have some stuff going on here." And, it didn't pay particularly well. So we were probably going to just about break even when you figure hotel and gas money. And we everyone was excited to go. So we were like, "Hey, let's go out for dinner and get lobster rolls and do the whole, and do it up." It was my first time in Boston. I'd never been there before. So it
Hmm.
was like, yeah, this is exciting. And we have some scratch to go have a good time while we're there too. But we came back and it was different. The way that we bonded, the three of us on that trip, was leaps and bounds. And it was hard to come back and to have someone in the band who hadn't been a part of that. Um, but you could just tell, the three of us were better players. We communicated better. We understood each other on a fundamental personal level better. We became better friends, and it's and the band got better as a result of all those things. So it really is. I can't recommend doing it even if you're going an hour away enough to bands and to artists, because it has that bonding effect even if it goes terribly.
Well, in the 12-step world, I refer to 12-step terms a lot. It's our singleness of purpose that binds us together.
I agree with that. I think that's an accurate description of the phenomena.
And true friends share in each other's joy and also in each other's sorrow. True friends do.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm lucky too to call the guys who are in my band now, some of my best friends. And again, I mean, I'm just so insanely lucky to have found good people, especially having been in bands with bad people and having brought people into my band that didn't work out,
All right.
not because they were mean or malicious people or anything, just they weren't the right people for the band. And it's tough.
Well, did you ever look at another perspective, Tim, and uh, maybe think that, okay, well, I'm certainly very fortunate to be with them. Do you ever think that they're fortunate to be with you?
Please check out our website at fishingwithoutbait.com, where you can listen to the show, comment on our discussions, and find out where you can subscribe to our podcast. If you're interested in flying the colors of Fishing Without Bait, click the shop icon on our website. We have clothing, mugs, cell phone cases, and so much more. Show the world that you fish without bait. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.